Good morning. So, this is probably like one of the big ballpark healings that Jesus does, but it's a little bit hidden. I would rank it right up there with the raising of Lazarus from the dead. And the question to ask is, why this blind man? Right? He heals a lot of people who are blind or deaf or have leprosy or any form of ailment. But this one really gets the attention of the people around the area. And of course, it's done on a Sabbath, but again, there's other healings that are done on the Sabbath that don't quite get the impact that this one seems to have in the community. And the answer is actually deep in the language. And I'll spare you the translation discussion, but essentially what begins to emerge to the surface is it's not just that this man is born blind, but this man is born with no eyes. So kind of put yourself into the scenario. He has been begging at the temple, the synagogue, for some time, has been raised in this condition. Now, if you see someone who can't see, maybe they have at this point, a stick out in front of them, they're feeling around, but their eyes are closed. And so to a certain extent, it looks more normal, right? You know that they're blind. That's been communicated to you. They have the stick, it kind of shows you that. But when you come across this man, he may not even have eyelids. He has two sockets where his eyes should be, but nothing is there. Striking. Maybe for some even grotesque. And in line with the current mode of thought, right, that sin causes these types of deformity. And oh, how we love to get the focus off of us, like he would have been, and his family, a source of conversation, as they were. What sin did this man commit, or his parents or his family, to cause such a grotesque manifestation in his face? So the Lord doesn't just open his eyes in the sight of this monstrous depiction. He makes this man eyeballs. Christ can heal anything. He doesn't just fix something in the body in this case. He, as God, is able to make a piece of the body. Something that all of modern medicine over the history of mankind, even into the day that we're living in, cannot do. It's a beautiful prayer when you think of it at this level. Whatever the thing is that we're dealing with, that we need healing, Jesus, just take this mess and heal it. And secondly, make something more beautiful than had I never had it. My own meditations on this, you imagine the eyes that Jesus made for him. It's sort of like the water turned into wine, he saved the best for last. Who knows? Maybe some color that had never been seen in the human race, known only to God, save for this moment. But he can take that mess, that grotesque thing in our life that's ugly, and he can make it into something really, really beautiful if we let him. Second is that Christ's body and person are pure life. To heal this man, Jesus doesn't, probably to people's expectations, he doesn't wave his hands around in the air, abracadabra, boom. He gets right down there in it with him because his body is the source of life and healing. And so he's going to use his spittle to do what the heck is he doing? I'm making the eyeball up, presses them into the sockets. People can barely look at the sockets, and this God's got his fingers right in them. Something that we need to hear. His body matters. His body matters. It is the source of all life in this realm. Do we believe this? Because that body is on this altar and in that tabernacle, and a lot of people don't believe it. And a lot of people probably thought this was some kind of a joke. not even knowing who was doing this. Maybe they had never seen or heard of Jesus before, and they're like, oh, what's this guy doing to the blind man? Smeared mud all over his face. Fool! They kind of say the same thing about what we do in the sacraments now. You bread worshiper, bound down before idols. But in that bread, my dear friend, is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of God himself, and the source of healings across 2,000 years of salvation history, having manifested itself from time to time for what it really is. But you can't see it because you claim to see, but you're blind where it matters most. Makes me kind of wonder about the blind man, what actually meant more to him. In the end, he could see, but what he really got was faith, and he was saved. Yes, he's got eyes, but his eye of the soul was opened. From that point on, we're going to know him as Saint Siladonius, highly revered in the Eastern Catholic Church. Finally, we have the way this whole thing plays out, which is so very telling, and you kind of got to clip off the beginning of what Jesus says before he heals him to make sense of it. He's like, when we have to do the works of the one who sent me, clearly God the Father, well, it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. Well, I am in the world. I am the light of the world. So from the incarnation onward, the dawn of the sun, the dawn of light is upon the world. The day has begun, and Jesus Christ is that day. But he says there's this night of the world that's coming. Okay, well, we might conclude, yes, Father, that's the passion, crucifixion. I'd give you that, but that's a real small night. Maybe symbolic of the church's night later on, whenever that might be happening. And for the moment that this day begins to dawn upon earth, there is tension. And we see that tension as the light begins to dispel the darkness already in this story and throughout the whole gospel. Man versus God. What man thinks God should be and act like, and who God actually is, and what he's actually going to do. Good being called evil, evil being called good, including Jesus himself. And if you take God's side, well, man is going to cast you out and cancel you. And we see this fear in this blind man's own parents. Now, again, there's so much background to just phrasing in the story, right? This man's parents had him, were the source of ridicule, clearly loved him, raised him with this disability, despite all of the slander that they would have received. But when it comes to this moment and this time, they are so afraid of this Jesus being involved with it, they don't come to his defense. All they can say is, we will give you two things. One, he is our son. Two, he was born blind. Ask anybody. We've been the talk of the town ever since. But as to him, so that we don't get expelled, ask him. He's of age. They're afraid of being cast out. Although manifestly different, our time is quickly becoming exactly the same. And it can be summed up by saying that the only thing that is not tolerated anymore is intolerance. And as the sun sets and we enter into this dark night, the principal weapon, which is everywhere, it's in the culture, it is all over the church, is fear. Terrible fear. Fear from being exiled from your family if you actually spoke the truth. Exile from your community if you actually lived your faith. Don't want to hang out with that weirdo. Intolerant over there is talking about church doctrine. Exile from society if you don't accept everything. We know what that feels like. We don't want to be exiled. But it seems like when the day dawned following Jesus and Jesus himself, was all about that. Unavoidable. As we come to receive Holy Communion on this fourth Sunday of Lent, I think a real good thing to remember in our time, these times, is that the fullness of the faith resides in the one true apostolic church. Our church, it's here. No matter what happens, how dark the night gets, stay true to it and do not leave it. Because Jesus himself, body, blood, soul, and divinity, is right here in it with you. The blind man, despite regaining eyes, lost everything. Lost his family, his community, maybe even his nation. But unlike the others who claimed that they could see, once he had eyes given to him by God, in the end had the only thing that mattered. The conversation at the end shifts off the eyes and on to Jesus. And in Jesus, this saint had everything.